My name is Akaash Seemakurty, and today I'm going to talk about the unstable maturity of social media. So, through recent decades, social media has been globalizing through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and these companies have been revolutionizing the way that we communicate with each other. So, over the last year, 600 million people have been using social media, which totals to a total of 2.95 billion people who are currently using social media. So this shows the exponential increase of social media towards the last decade. So everything's connected through internet. So with the help of industrial revolution and formation of urban expansion, we've been able to develop cities. With the development of cities, we've been able to form connections with each other. So what is the connection? It's through the internet. So the internet allows us to go through databases and connect each other with it. From your car to the alarm clock, everything's connected. So let's take a look at the positives of this. So social media has allowed us to express our own ideas along with our own opinions, to display information over controversial topics, which include politics to civil rights. So many people who use social media like to update their life, which also reflects their life on others. So the use of cellular use of cellular devices at our hands, we are able to grasp information immediately. So within seconds and minutes, we were able to look up scores of NBA games, from scores of NBA games to Kanye's newest daughter name. So with the buzzer notification on our phones, we were able to figure out what inspirational quote our president's going to say next. So what's the problem? If there's so many benefits, what's the problem at large? So let's take a look back at Richard Blanco, which is in his poem, Looking for the Gulf Motel. So the narrator reminiscence about his past on on the good, or shadows of development, which include building of new technology and more. So he wishes that the shadows of development would not dawn on his recollections. So this sort of resembles society today, as many of us would like the recollection of the past and not be able to have more face-to-face contact and have more peace. So this becomes the problem of anonymity, which is the spread of social media, the amount of users increase. And with the amount of users increasing, this allows us to give us people to post online information of good and bad. And there's some negative aspects on the internet. So, and while others tend to be positive, others remain negative. And Edward Kessler says it best. So the democratization of information and the increase of user-generated content also makes it easier for misinformation and negative content to proliferate online. So what he's saying is that users have the impact and have the opportunity to say their own opinion and negatively impact the ideas of others online. So logging in or creating a social media account allows us to incorporate our email and password. So with our email and password, things can be revealed. With hackers online, they can easily hack our information, which would reveal personal or private information, including social security number, address, and credit card number. And this has been seen through the recent scandal of the Facebook data breach. In the Facebook data breach, over 50 million people's accounts were exposed. This gave hackers access to your email, address, and more. So not only were we a victim of this, but even the CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, was. So it doesn't even stop here. So there has been much controversial as in the last decade or last election as if Russia has been meddling with it. So it's important because the election really dictates our leader for the next 4 years. If this cannot be safe, or the election cannot be safe, then the question becomes, what social media activities can be safe? So social media has been a daily habit, and some consequences lead to addiction. So the chemical dopamine is a neurochemical in various parts of the brain, and is critical for all brain functions. So it includes thinking, mood, attention, and especially reward. And in the recent decade, we've been posting posts on Instagram, and the more likes we get, the more dopamine is released. So it's a type of clout that we like. So this tends for us to use the apps more heavily on a day-to-day basis, and this tends to take away from social interactions, what parents like to call family time. And children tend to use more screen time rather than face-to-face interactions, and which concerns parents. So the first solution is to educate, not just to educate the youth or the children, but to educate parents as well. Not the short term, but also the long term effects. and to create a friendly community with to form good relationships. By doing so, we can spread the message and limit ourselves and tend to have more face-to-face conversations. So another solution is to implement stricter policies by companies, and this would allow for a cleaner environment, as well as certain aspects of the internet could be taken out, so which would allow safe information to be passed. So as social media is growing, it is not able to be stopped. So children who are getting exposed to technology in the near future become adapted to the developing society. So basically, social media is growing, so we should also get accustomed to this. And also suppressing certain ideas would also tend to violate the First Amendment, like many would say. So, however, taking one step at a time would most likely educate the children and take into consideration of possibilities of what to come. And as children are the generation that shape us, like what we would do next, we should be ready to fight the negatives and bring out the positives.
Good. Thank you. Akaash, what information did you need that you weren't able to find or locate, and how did you go about trying to find that information?
So the information I wasn't able to find was like the amount of anonymous users. It's pretty difficult to find because how do we figure out what is anonymous and stuff like that. And the way I was able to go about finding it was I looked through the internet and using like the EBSCO and other helpful websites on figuring out like what qualifies anonymous and the amount of anonymous people online.
Okay, good. And if you had more time, what additional research would you conduct related to this issue?
I would actually take and go through surveys such as asking people around the city, or especially younger kids, on their user time, on how much time they use on their phone, and looking at the different grade levels on how it raises or impacts other areas.
Okay, good. Thank you.